line. People are in desperate situations. Have the decency to tell them the truth. Former President Trump, get a life, man. Help these people.
President Biden is heading to hurricane-ravaged Florida tomorrow after calling out Donald Trump's dangerous disinformation about the federal response. Vice President Kamala Harris is also visiting the storm zone. She just arrived in North Carolina, where she will join volunteers at a supply drive in Raleigh tonight and then campaign in Greenville tomorrow. Trump repeated his lies about hurricane recovery at a rally in Nevada last night, claiming, quote, the federal government's done nothing for storm survivors. Trump has falsely accused FEMA of spending all its relief money on undocumented immigrants. Here are the facts. FEMA has already distributed more than $344 million in assistance to the survivors of Hurricane Helene. And earlier today, President Biden expanded the natural disaster declaration in Florida, where Hurricane Milton has caused an estimated $50 billion in damages. The death toll from Milton is now 17 people, with about 1.4 million homes in Florida still without power. And in North Carolina, at least 93 people have died due to Hurricane Helene. Joining me now, Nikki Fried, chair of the Florida Democratic Party. Also with me, Anderson Clayton, chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party. Thank you both very much for coming to the Saturday show. Anderson, you were supposed to be on the show last weekend, and we weren't able to make it happen. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Trump's running mate has been accusing the Biden administration of abandoning North Carolina. Is that true?
No, and it's irresponsible of Republicans to politicize an operation that's still ongoing for search and rescue in North Carolina, and that we've seen both Republicans and Democratic elected officials across our state fully come together and support relief efforts in Western North Carolina, including Governor Cooper just yesterday signing into law the bill that Republicans and Democrats passed in our state legislature that gave over $275 million towards relief efforts in the western part of the state alone.
And as we see in the box next to you, Anderson, we see the vice president arriving at a restaurant in Raleigh, North Carolina. She is there on her 19th visit to the Tar Heel state since this election cycle got started. You see her. Well, I thought that was her hugging that man back there, but she's talking there in the tan suit. Nikki Fried, let me come to you. You pushed back on Governor DeSantis' false claims about COVID during the pandemic. What's it like to be fighting Republican lies about another emergency?
Yeah, and that's what we've got here. We've got a whole lot of Republicans, from Ron DeSantis to members of the Florida congressional delegation, and of course, obviously Donald Trump, who is spreading misinformation in a time when people are scared. They have lost virtually everything, and in some cases, literally everything, including family members. And you have our leaders who are, during times of whether it is the pandemic or it is natural disasters, we need to come together and be able to trust government is working the way it's supposed to work. And when you have Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump spewing misinformation across the entire country, not only is it preventing individuals who need those resources today, but it's also dismantling our systems and our government institutions and making people feel that they shouldn't be getting help from the federal government at a time when they need to be calling their legislators and their members of Congress asking for resources, whether it's from FEMA or from the state or local governments. This is very dangerous rhetoric, and I am, again, very disappointed with Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump and the entire MAGA extremism, who is putting lives in danger, and including our first responders, who are having to put their lives in more harm's way, trying to dismantle some of this misinformation.
Well, Chair Fried, let me get you on one more thing. You know, Governor DeSantis declined to tour hurricane damage alongside President Biden. He's refused to take return phone calls made to him by the vice president. What do you make of that?
This is Ron DeSantis's "I'm going this alone" plan. He's been doing this since 2019 when I was in the Florida cabinet as Commissioner of Agriculture, going through a potentially devastating hurricane that luckily that time did not hit the state of Florida. It was impossible for days for me to get into the governor's office to explain to him exactly what was happening in the Department of Agriculture, the emergency orders that I was signing under my authority. And then fast forward even the last year in 2022 after Hurricane Ian, again, not taking phone calls from myself, not taking phone calls from Senator Rick Scott. This is his MO. He likes to go at it alone. And unfortunately, right now, you're seeing in Hillsborough and Pinellas counties, the lines hours and hours long to get gas and fuel. He today announced that it was going to have 10 gallons of free gas. And so people have put it in lines for hours. Again, when you go at this alone and you don't have partnerships, you also need to bear the responsibility when things don't go right. But that's not how Ron DeSantis operates. And it's unfortunate that the people of our state are hurting today because of his lack of leadership.
And again, I want to point out to viewers on the left side of your screen, you are looking at pictures of Vice President Harris. She is in Raleigh, North Carolina. I believe the name of the place where she is the Pit Authentic Barbecue. She is there for a volunteers relief drive in North Carolina for the victims of Hurricane Helene. Anderson, Chair Clayton, can you tell me about the damage the hurricane has done in North Carolina when it comes to access to voting?
We know right now the State Board of Elections has declared a state of emergency really for about 25 counties in western North Carolina that were impacted by Hurricane Helene, giving them the authority to be able to set up their own ability to, remove or even add early voting polling locations or election day polling locations as they need to throughout the election cycle, because we know that some of those locations may have been damaged throughout the storm. And so folks can go to ncsbe.gov/Helene if you're in North Carolina and you know someone that may have been impacted, or you're questioning how the State Board of Elections and these county board of elections are handling the efforts. We fully trust the election efforts that are going on in North Carolina, and we trust our state board to be able to help these counties have access and get people the access to their constitutional right to vote this year.
Chair Freed, what about you in Florida? Had Hurricane Milton and Helene, have they impacted voting in your state?
Before both the hurricanes hit and then after both, we've also been in complete contact with the supervisor of elections in all of the impacted areas. There is an executive order by DeSantis that has been filed both after Helene as well as in Milton to make sure that our supervisor of elections have the resources that are necessary to, again, as Anderson was saying, to move polling locations if in fact they have been damaged or have no electricity as they do right now. And so we do have confidence, but of course, when somebody's lost everything, lost the roof of their house, they lost their memories, lost everything, the last thing that's on their mind today is voting. And so it's really important that we continue to make sure that the people of our states are getting through these moments, are making sure that they've got the resources necessary to not only get through the immediate aftermath of a hurricane, and that's everything from potentially cleaning up their lawns to electricity to potentially having to stay in hotels or rental homes, but obviously the long haul of making sure that they are actually being able to rebuild their lives. And so we're going to continue having volunteers on the ground, knocking on doors, being there present. We are seeing Democrats and Republicans all over the state of Florida helping their neighbors. You're having huge volunteer efforts all over the state, bringing supplies and resources to a lot of our marginalized communities, which unfortunately in times like this get forgotten. The people that get the most attention and resources are those on the barrier islands, which is where the eyes of the storms go through. And the people that are more inland, sometimes our minority communities, are a little bit left out on their own. And we are there every day and reminding them not only to get through these moments, but that we've got an election in 25 days. And here in the state of Florida, with property insurance through the roof, abortion on the ballot in November, and every single day freedoms being taken away from the people of our state, this election has severe consequences for the people of our state.